Hi everybody, welcome to Racing English. This is the Road Course Racing Podcast, and on that note, let's get started. Last weekend was a race that will go down in Formula One history because Max Verstappen became the youngest ever F1 winner at the age of 18 years old. He broke the record by 3 years, and he was able to capitalize on very unique circumstances when the Mercedes took each other out on the first lap. Basically, Nico Rosberg got a blinding start, but his engine mode was in the wrong setting. So after it went from start mode to race mode, after it had gone for a set distance, it started harvesting power at the wrong point, and that gave Lewis Hamilton a 10-mile-per-hour run. And from my perspective, it looks like neither one of them gave an inch, and it ended up costing both of them. I do think that Lewis Hamilton definitely should have been a little bit more cautious because he has a lot more to lose than Nico Rosberg, because Rosberg is such a big points lead. If neither of them score, that's one less race for Hamilton to close in. But if Hamilton really needs to start putting up consistent good results if he wants to start closing in on Rosberg. We've been waiting for 3 years for this incident to happen, and it finally went down in Spain. It's probably going to define this season, and it's certainly going to define how Hamilton and Rosberg race each other. I think they're certainly not going to give each other as much room as they did before. Now they really have reason to dislike each other. I mean, all the contact up until now has just been racing deals, just beating and banging, no big deal. But in this race, they took each other out of a potential 1-2. I see no way that the competition would have been able to beat him, so it was a disaster for the Mercedes team. But back to Verstappen, he was in second after the Mercedes took each other out, and Red Bull put Daniel Ricciardo onto a 3-stop strategy, and they put Verstappen onto a 2-stop, and the 2-stop strategy ended up being the winning move. But he certainly did not have an easy job because Kimi Räikkönen, over about the last 20 to 15 laps, was no more than a second behind him. And Max Verstappen did not make a single mistake, and finally proved his mettle to everyone in F1. The next race is the Monaco Grand Prix on May 29th, and my prediction to win is going to be Lewis Hamilton because of his qualifying prowess this year. In every race that he's not had a car issue in qualifying, he's sat on the pole. So he's my pick to win that race. 2 weeks ago was the 6 Hours of Spa, the second round of the World Endurance Championship, and this was an important race because it was the final round before the 24 Hours of Le Mans in June. And Audi won the race, and they were the only car that did not suffer some sort of mechanical issue, and their reliability was second to none. They didn't have the fastest car, but they were able to just log laps and stay on track, and that's how they won the race. Toyota definitely had the fastest car during that race, especially the number 5 car. It was a painful race to watch because they had at least a lap lead when their car suffered total engine failure, and that handed the win to the Audi. Another big storyline that came out of LMP1 was the Rebellion Racing secured their first overall podium. It was a tremendous result for that team. They stayed out of trouble, and they were able to capitalize when all the factory teams had issues. It was really an up-and-down day for the number 5 Toyota. They dominated the race and had a 1-lap lead when their engine let go. And at the end of the race, they tried to do a lap on hybrid-only power, but the point was moot because they had a 4-lap penalty because Kazuki Nakajima did not meet the minimum drive time. And I heard that hybrid-only power lap took about 2 hours to complete. The next race is the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and honestly, any one of the top 3 LMP1 teams can win the race. I mean, they're all very close on pace. I think it's going to come down to reliability and who's in the right place at the right time. Also, last weekend was the Grand Prix of Indianapolis, and as I predicted, Simon Pagenaud got the win. It was his 3rd consecutive win. He's dominating IndyCar at the moment. In fact, a lot of people are saying that it's going to take a perfect day from somebody else at Indy to stop him winning the Indy 500. He really stepped up his game on the ovals last year, and I expect he's going to be the guy to beat at the 500. Yesterday, Indy 500 practice began, and the Andretti Autosport cars were 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Although most of those laps were in the draft, they did some very good qualifying laps. So it looks like Honda is going to have something to say about this race. If it's not going to It's not going to be like the rest of the season when Chevy has just been dominating. But also, there weren't any big GT3 races last weekend, but I was watching a replay of the Blancpain GT race, and it's becoming obvious to me that ABS is ruining GT3 racing. It isn't just in one particular series, whether it's Blancpain, whether it's Pirelli World Challenge, or IMSA. Because the cars have ABS, there's no real room for the drivers to make a difference. It's all coming down to car performance and which cars are performance balanced, because no matter what the skill of the driver is, they can just go flying into the corners, haul on the brakes, and they know they're not going to lock up. And braking is really what separates good drivers from great drivers, and I think to make the driver aids in GT3, especially with the combination of the traction control and the ABS, means the racing's really not as exciting, and it's certainly not helping those drivers hone their skills. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.